Welcome to today's Explainer, American Government Before 1776. Today, we're cracking open a highly specific set of historical dossiers. We are acting as strict auditors here, which means we're sticking entirely to what's inside these pages. No internet deep dives, no textbook summaries, just a pure, unadulterated look at what these specific source documents actually claim about the foundation of the nation and exactly how they describe the era right before independence. Let's jump in.
Here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with Introduction and Foundations, then look at governments, charters, and assemblies. After that, we'll dive into pre-independence governance structures, relations with Britain, rights and historical significance, and finally wrap it all up with an episode summary.
Section 1. Introduction and Foundations. Setting the baseline. Let's establish exactly where these documents draw the literal starting line for American sovereignty.
So the source material establishes the unanimous Declaration of Independence in 1776 as the absolute starting point for the nation. The documents explicitly cite it as the genesis of the country on the land and soil jurisdictions, basically the literal, physical foundation of the nation. Now, because the sources draw such a hard, definitive line at 1776 as the beginning of American sovereignty, it forces us to look really closely at how the text describes the era immediately preceding it. What exactly was going on before this genesis?
Section 2. Governments, charters, and assemblies. Addressing the gaps. As objective auditors, we need to see exactly how these documents handle the specific civic structures of that pre-1776 era.
And honestly, here is where things get super fascinating. When we comb strictly through these texts looking for standard historical structures, we find massive omissions. The documents explicitly do not address colonial charters, they do not address colonial assemblies, and they absolutely do not address local self-governance. Those topics, completely blank. The documents do, however, mention colonial governments, but they describe them through a highly specific, almost corporate lens, which is what we're going to examine next.
Section 3. Pre-independence governance structures. The corporate claim. Let's see how this shapes our understanding of how the territory was actually managed.
According to the text, instead of traditional civic governments, the colonies were actually run by mobile governments, basically corporate trusts. Think about entities like the East India Trading Company, the Virginia Company, and the Hudson Bay Company. The documents assert that these corporations were effectively operating as the administrators, all while operating under the ultimate authority of European monarchs and the Pope. It's a completely different way of looking at it.
The sources state these weren't just standard trading posts, they actually functioned as governments. They maintained their own militaries and they enforced their own rules. Specifically, they used admiralty law, which is essentially maritime law, to control the land territories. Ultimately, the texts argued that this corporate setup led directly to systemic tyranny over the colonists.
It's kind of like extreme renting. The text describes this pre-1776 administration as a system of feudal tenure. Under this system, you didn't truly own your property. Instead, a corporate feudal lord charged you an annual fee literally just to exist on it as a tenant. The documents argue this was the complete opposite of true unencumbered land ownership, which they refer to as a laudal title.
Moving on to Section 4, Relations with Britain, the grievances. Let's look at the specific issues that the text says sparked the revolution.
Tracing the escalation of all this tension, the text highlights a pivotal administrative shift right around the year 1763. The documents claim this shift was calculated specifically for enslaving these colonies. Things boiled over, leading to the 1774 Articles of Association, which detailed the colonists' deep distress. And of course, this all culminates in the 1776 Declaration of Independence, which the text emphasizes was drafted as a direct charge against a foreign jurisdiction.
The absolute crucial point here is this exact quote, cited in the dossier from the 1774 Articles of Association. It explicitly states that the unhappy situation was occasioned by a ruinous system of colony administration adopted by the British ministry about the year 1763. That specific shift, that is what fundamentally broke the relationship between the colonists and the British Crown. The documents state that the Crown enforced this ruinous administration in a few very specific ways. First, by imposing acts of Parliament designed purely for raising revenue. Second, by subjecting colonists to a foreign and unwarrable jurisdiction. And the text gets specific here, defining this foreign jurisdiction as Roman civil law enforced through admiralty courts. Consequently, the text states, this deprived American subjects of their constitutional right to a trial by jury, effectively stripping them of their common law rights.
Section 5. Rights and historical significance, devolution of sovereignty. Let's analyze how severing those British ties actually changed things.
So the revolution wasn't just a simple change in leadership. The documents frame it as a fundamental rejection of European feudal administration. See, in the European model, sovereignty is ascribed to the prince, who holds personal powers and administers the government. But in the American model, post-1776, the text claims sovereignty rests entirely with the people as joint tenants. Rulers possess zero personal power. They are merely official agents, literally just servants of the public.
Relying on the 1793 Supreme Court case Chisholm v. Georgia, the text claims the ultimate significance of 1776 was that sovereignty devolved or transferred down directly to the citizens. As the quote proudly puts it, "At the Revolution, the sovereignty devolved on the people. They are truly the sovereigns of this country, but they are sovereigns without subjects." According to the provided documents, this legally ended that entire era of corporate and royal administration.
Finally, Section 6, Episode Summary, Strict Source Review. To wrap up our explainer today, let's do a strict, step-by-step review of exactly what we've learned from these sources.
Step 1. Pre-1776 governance was administered by mobile government corporate trusts. Step 2. These entities operated under the King and Pope using Admiralty law. Step 3. A ruinous British administration in 1763 triggered widespread grievances. And Step 4. The 1776 revolution officially transferred sovereignty from the crown directly down to the people.
And we absolutely must remember our most glaring finding from these documents. Standard historical topics like colonial charters, colonial assemblies, and local self-governance, they are completely absent. The source documents do not address those topics at all. They view this era strictly through the lens of corporate trusts and jurisdiction.
So given this highly specific, text-based explainer, I want to leave you with this thought. How does this specific lens, viewing the pre-1776 era strictly as a battle against mobile corporate trust administration, feudal land tenure, and foreign admiralty law, alter your understanding of the causes behind the American Revolution? It definitely offers a unique perspective on what the phrase consent of the governed truly meant to the people who drafted that Declaration of Independence. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into the documents.